please help me welcome Jose and Linda and Nora, who are going to talk about how NFTs create new business paths for artists and creators. So please, I know there's only a few of us, it's early, but please give them a warm welcome. Thank you.
Sorry.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us so early in the morning. My name is Nora. I'm an NFT artist. I'm an entrepreneur, a patron of classic art, and developers who create AI Google Collab notebooks. I have more than 600 collectors, blessed with that. I'm so happy to be here. Hopefully you enjoy this panel with us. I give the floor to Lynn and Jose to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you. My name is Linda. So I've been in the Web3 space for about 5-6 years now, coming in through creative media as well, and just finding the use case for blockchain and NFTs. They weren't called NFTs then, for the media and entertainment sector and creator economy. So I'm working at a company called Super Oracles right now. We're working with creative communities, building out the ecosystems and just helping the ecosystems thrive.
Yeah, my name is Silva. I also joined the space as a hobby like 5 years ago. I remember looking at the Central and I was fascinated by the potentials of metaverse. And more recently, I've joined this project called Art2Act as a blockchain specialist. We are building a community of artists. We want to help them, give them tools. And well, it's very happy to be with you here today.
Thank you. So today we're going to talk about how NFTs create new business paths for artists and creators. So we have the current paths that, if you want to talk about it.
So I think we all agree that NFTs have really revolutionized how artists do art, or at least they provide a completely new tool to both create, but also connect with their collectors, right? Because it's so easy to just, because it's digital, it's so much easier to just interact with them, trade, and create new things, right?
Absolutely, and it's interesting because 5 years ago, when I joined, someone was asking, "What's your vision for this? Why did you join? What's your big dream?" And I was like, "Oh, I want to create the next generation Disney on blockchain." And the person literally laughed, like it was so ridiculous back then. But we see that happening now. The creative economy has actually been realized for Web3 and through the artistic sector. So that's a massive win for the community.
Yes, I do feel like currently there are available paths for NFTs and business, whether big or small. Even bakeries can benefit from creating NFTs. It's like giving a piece of the business itself without giving a stake to people. They feel they become a family. They feel they belong to this business. I think it's really essential for everyone to explore what is the perfect fit for them. Do you want to add to it, Lynn?
Yeah. So I think one area that is always interesting is like, what's the next thing? Because obviously art is the first entry point to this world for our creative team. But I just wonder, like, okay, let's even go back to traditional art versus digital art. How does that compare now? Because we see like Sotheby's and all these other companies coming into the space. What do you think are the business opportunities for digital artists versus traditional artists, as an example?
Yeah. There is a lot of new, well, let's say in 2019, everybody thought that crypto was not going to happen. And then last year we saw how NFTs really exploded. And we had Sotheby's having auctions of CryptoPunks, for example, right? So they are really trying to connect the digital. And also I think one of the key things that I expect us to see in the future is physical art being brought into the blockchain associated with NFT. And I think that's where a lot of these traditional galleries, etc., can have a very big impact, but also providing new digital experiences that connect better the collectors with the artists, both digital artists and traditional artists.
Exactly. They have to invest in their community, grow it organically. This is how they can have a presence in the metaverse. What do you think of future paths that NFTs will create?
So when I think of future paths, I like to think of co-creation because I'm biased, right? That's how I came into the sector through writing, but working with a lot of artists. And for me, it's about collaboration. And I think a lot of this is happening now, you know. So you've seen Pharrell, for example, doing stuff with doodles and bringing in music and creating that line. Also, there's some YouTube, I can't remember the name, but there's some YouTube shots now that actually have 3D NFTs. So like, you know, PFPs, so different types, but they're actually now 3D animations, and they're now creating like movie reels around that. So I think that's going to be the next feature of NFTs, like collaborating across not just the digital artists or the art world, but with music and cross-sector or cross-segment collaboration. I think that's where there's so much potential to create more new content.
Yeah. In terms of artists themselves, I think there is still a lot of room to explore, right? We've been focusing a lot, of course there is a lot of exploration also on the metaverse side, but mostly artists are focusing on creating NFTs with their own art, and that's basically it. But we see also a lot of other applications, right? Because an NFT, in its essence, it's, I really like to call this, is a white canvas, right? It's just an identifier of something, a digital asset in this case. So then we have a lot of room to play and develop new concepts like memberships, subscriptions, and so many other models, right?
That's correct. Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like it's like everything else. This is how we feel about it. The new generation is going to come, add more to it, and it will be heavily embodied in the business world for sure. What advice do you like to give, like artists, creators, or businesses?
Yeah, you know, just to add to that, I think it's about being more open-minded. So Jose and I were actually having a conversation just before we came in about, you know, the concept of dynamic NFTs, for example. So that's one new thing that is kind of coming up as an artist, and that creates more, because this is no longer traditional static art. And even though our NFTs these days are like static, but then when you think about using data, oracles specifically, but actually different types of data feeds, so merging it with technology, you can literally start in real time, using real-time characteristics or other kinds of data sets, changing the attributes of that NFT. So for the art world, that is really exciting. And as a digital artist, you know, and as an NFT artist, I think looking for those new areas of technology advancements and just opening your mind to learning and exploring more is really cool. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But how did you get into the NFT space?
Yeah, I think like Linda, there was in 2017, everybody was talking again about crypto, and I really wanted to look for new things back then. And like I said earlier, for me, the Centerland was one of the things that were starting. They were doing their land auction, and I was looking at all the community projects that you can donate to. You have this Vegas district, you have this China sector, etc., engineering sector, and I was like, yeah, indeed, people can come here in the future if the technology will be developed, for example, for VR, and they can meet in the metaverse. But also you can have, with blockchain, you can really have ownership of your assets. And I think that's also a very important thing. And as we move on with NFTs, the same story about physical art going digital, you can also tokenize so many more assets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And how about you, Nora? Because you have a fascinating story that I would like.
I literally read an article during COVID and lockdown, and I joined Web3 then. This is it. This is my story.
It's really easy, everybody.
Yes, I wanted to mention that you don't have to have an IT background or a digital career to get into NFTs. They're very easy to understand. You just get used to it, to the terminology. It's very simple. I really encourage everyone to try it out. For other paths, what do you suggest for the future?
So I think, so we talked about dynamic NFTs as an example, right? That's one thing for sure, I think keeps the art fresh. So you can almost create one piece of art and just use technology to keep on creating multiple versions of that NFT. I think that's cool. But then I think the other thing is just looking at different trends. So what's the underlying meaning of an NFT? A non-fungible token means a digital asset that has its own unique identity. That's what Jose was saying about you can use it for real estate, for example, or any other type of asset online. So looking at things around copyrights, for example, rights management, or things around, we're going to talk about royalties, I guess, in a bit, but also royalties as well. How do you manage that royalty payment? I think those are the areas. There's this concept of service-based NFTs. I think is really exciting because as an artist, you could also digitize your service. You could almost create your service as an NFT and make that even tradable in the secondary market, for example. So there are just so many areas and opportunities to really explore more for business.
And like we were saying also, there's nothing set in stone, right? People are used to get the NFTs in a way, but we should not be afraid of experimenting. And for example, that's the thing that in Art to Act, we work a lot with people from the Tesos community, and what I really like to see them is how much they experiment with. For example, there is this project recently of the vending machine, where people could put together pieces of art in a vending machine, and a collector knew the pieces that are there and will get a random piece. That can be a new way also of doing art, right? And also bringing new people to new artists. So who knows what kind of community projects will be coming out with this concept.
That's true.
Absolutely. I think, just the example you gave, it's more communities forming together and actually, I'm thinking of almost like, I know Art to Art is not like a DAO, but what we call like a decentralized autonomous organization, for example. I'm almost thinking of that as well. Those are also opportunities for creating more value collectively as as a community, and just so one area is people create content together, and then you can talk about, okay, how do we vote, or how do we select the best content to publish or to send online? You could use that kind of DAO structure as well to make those business opportunities possible.
But actually, I have a question for you, Nora, because you are a real artist joining us, working with NFTs, and it can be interesting also to talk a little bit like, for you, there were a lot of challenges in using NFTs to make your art and connect to collectors. Where do you think that there is also room for improvement within the space on that side?
I feel, if I will speak for myself, I feel like the galleries, curators need to take chances on new artists. Emerging artists. If you like an art piece, connect with the artist, talk to them. If you feel like they are a good representative for your gallery, support them. I'm not saying financially support them, just support them even with Twitter spaces, artist spotlights. This will help and encourage other artists to come and expose their work, showcase, and not have them. During bear market, they're very low in morale, so they need the support. Even a retweet, even a like, even a follow, it lifts spirits. So I would like to see more of that from different entities, even tech entities. Even if someone just like, I like this art, I like the protocol, I like the software they used, and just a retweet, this also helps.
I'm almost thinking, as you were talking about galleries, I was just thinking digital galleries, for example. Are there like any major, is that what Art to Art is actually doing? Like, I'm thinking of the concept of like traditional galleries and digital galleries as well. Are there any examples there? I don't know, so that's what I'm actually asking for.
There are a lot of galleries that are pushing to have NFTs showcased in physical places, which I think also is going to be the future. A new type of galleries are emerging. I believe one is called Super Chief. They do some things in Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken.
And Tokyo, I think. Yes.
Exactly. We had some meeting with a very interesting and famous museum in Portugal, the Museum of Art and Architecture, and they are also really interested on moving towards a bit more to the NFT world and try to showcase more digital art and more digital artists. So also on that side, there are a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. But also I would advise artists to be more flexible when doing projects, when going and working with a business, with royalties. I did a project for the Ministry of Information Communication Technology in Saudi Arabia. They had an event and they wanted to give out NFTs for free, and they told me 0 royalties for you, because as a government entity in the kingdom, they are not allowed to accept any income. Even if it's not traced to them, having them sponsor this collection, they cannot have that. I said, for sure, I will have 0 royalties. It's my country, yes, but it's also good exposure. It's a learning curve. A lot of artists are very strict with their royalties. I'm not saying don't ask for your rights. Royalties are amazing. They are the essence of the smart contracts, but in order to evolve, in order to develop, be more flexible. Try it, work on it. Even if you work hard, you will never regret it. This is something you have under your belt, something you can talk about, an experience that you can build on. This is my view. It's personal. It might be not a lot of people will agree with it, but I leave it to you to comment.
Yeah, so the royalty, I completely agree, but I have a different take around royalty, because I think one of the beauties of Web3 is the royalties, right? And transparent distribution of royalties, let me put it that way.
True, yeah.
Which has always been a blocker in the traditional world. In the traditional world, like, no one knows what's going on except everybody else in between.
Yeah.
And it's just, when you just think about it across other industries as well, movies, it's a pain. so I'm a big advocate for smart contracts, but I agree with you. I think sometimes in certain instances, you just have to stick to, depending on the kind of agreement you have with a particular entity, stick to selling the full, maybe not the full rights, but having acknowledgement of your rights in that asset. So I think that's where law as well, comes into play, and just making sure you have like a lawyer that is part of that transaction that can help you, like you would in a normal agreement, understand what you're signing, and that's enforced through the smart contract before everything else. But I think smart contracts, execution of royalty distribution is so helpful for this industry, because it just takes out all the bottlenecks in between, all the lack of transparency, especially when you're thinking long term. It makes it so much easier as an artist, as a content creator, to be able to understand who's buying your asset, who's using it, how do you reach out to them, and get paid on time as well.
No, absolutely. Blockchain brings so much more transparency to this art sector, and that's also a thing that our team experienced in Art2Act. Our background was more traditional art, and this lack of transparency really is a blocker for artists, or the people, or the means. But with the Web3 and with blockchain specifically technology, you can really bridge that gap, and everything is on chain. So you can really see if what people are telling you, it is true. But regarding royalties, actually, I read recently on Twitter a thread, I don't remember by who, but he was actually challenging the point of should artists focus so much on royalties or not? In the sense that, like you're saying, if you're really prone to, okay, I want to ensure that I want royalties, you'd have missed that opportunity, right? So the question is it is important, of course, I'm not saying no, but maybe in some situations, maybe it's not required, or can be a blocker that can be avoiding you to reach new collectors, new projects, and in the end, maybe get you to the next step.
Exactly. It's a very new space, and for you to have your position there, I think you need to try everything and not restrict yourself at all.
Absolutely. Just as you were speaking, I remember it was last year, right, when the Wonder Woman collection was being launched by Marvel, and then there was this dispute because the original artist behind it, I think, launched some collections as well as NFTs, and it was like, oh, actually, no, the full rights had been sold to Marvel, so you don't actually have, so it's that kind of scenario as well, that just making sure the artist, as an artist, you understand your rights, what you still retain, and what you have the rights to continue to develop through other means is so important.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's just to know when and how, and just seek advice. If you cannot have the royalties, what are you going to have in exchange? Yeah, exactly. You need to have reassurance. Yes, exactly. Anything.
Yeah. But also, actually, you touched a very interesting point on the IP. right? So that's also something that you can also sell. That can also be part of your business model or what you want to sell. So there is still some gray area in NFTs. There is a lot of legal questions that are being developed and well worked upon. So that's the question is like, when you buy an NFT, should you be able to retain the rights always or not? For example, Nora, you as an artist, what do you think about this?
I feel the rights should be always for the artist. If they give you the right to create a derivative, use it in a business, that's fine. But I feel like the artist needs to have credit, even by mentioning.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be financial. Even by mentioning, it does make a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just looking at the time. I'm wondering if we should open up for questions or.
Anyone have any question?
No?
No?
Okay, so maybe just on that thought around the ownership models, then how would the concept of having the rights of ownership work, but you at the same time you don't own the rights to royalties, so to speak, right? How would that potentially work in this new world of NFTs?
I mean, I saw a lot of PFPs and artists. They sell you their artwork and they sell you the rights to print products. For instance, you do the T-shirts, mugs, or use it in books. You can use it as if you own it. So they give you the full rights to use it. Some they don't. So I think that's how it is being done currently.
And how about the art-to-art community then? You have some interesting projects that are coming up next week. And how does that kind of like, what's in store for that with the community? How can we get involved?
Thank you for the question, of course. So one of the things that we are actually really working towards is create new tools for artists. So help them create these new business models. And we are launching a collection next week. That's our Genesis collection. We put together 150 artists in what is the biggest collaborative collection in Ethereum. But also this collection is a showcase of a protocol that we are building that we want to give artists a mean to create, for example, memberships. So for example, they can create a pass and they say that they want to do a collection, a project, and this way they can already guarantee future revenue while working a bit more relaxed. You don't have to worry that they will get or not that money to survive even at some point. So this can create very interesting dynamics, but also maybe create new models, for example, to connect directly with people, maybe workshops, right? There are a lot of talented artists that are very good in some specific techniques. So maybe they can create new models where they can give access through NFTs to people, and whoever buys their NFTs, they can then work with them, learn from them, get mentorship. There is so many opportunities. That's the way we see it. And that's the thing about this space. The community is very welcoming. Everybody can chip in with their ideas. And we can say for sure that all these artists that are working with us, and also the people that we are meeting here, they all teach us something. And then together, I think that's the power of the blockchain and Web3 community, is that we can grow together. And I think I'm very excited for the future.
Absolutely. It's so interesting because you've just given like a perfect illustration of an NFT as a service. Being able to mint different types of tickets and then being able to provide those services through that as well. And that's open to any kind of content creator as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so any final statements before we wrap up then?
I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined, and I really enjoyed this panel. It's really nice meeting you, although for a short time I feel like I've known you for a long time, Jose and Lynn.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, likewise, it's been an honor. Also, thank you all for being here at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
We really like to talk more about this. So if anyone wants to talk with us after, just please say hi. And Linda, Nora, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. We're here to connect. Thank you, like Jose said, for being here so early. We appreciate the support. And talks about dynamic NFTs, anything, innovation. We're here to continue the conversation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please help me thank Jose, Nora, and Linda for a great talk. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Amazing job. Amazing job.